What's going on, guys? Today we are going to talk about building a custom computer. I just set up my own little setup, so I figured, you know what, let's make a video on building a custom PC. Why not? Alright, I'm not going to show you guys how to take it out of the box, how to screw in the motherboard. You guys don't need to know how to do that. I'm sure you guys can figure that out. So, before I go any further, if there's anything particular you guys need to know, such as securing the processor, installing the heatsink, installing the video card, wiring, whatever you guys need to know, message me. I'll rip this guy apart, and guess what? We'll go over how to do it. So, what is the most important thing? You buy cheap, you buy twice, especially when it comes to something like this. If you find a video card that's $100 less than you wanted to spend, and you've never heard of it before, and it's coming in from China, guess what? It's gonna blow on you, and you'll be buying another one. So that goes for power supply, motherboard. Well, processor is only really two, but motherboard, processor, hard drive, anything in this thing. If you don't recognize the brand, avoid it at all costs and check reviews. Because you get one particular brand, we'll go with this, ASRock. They're pretty steady with putting out a great product, but check the reviews. They could have 9 phenomenal motherboards, but the one you're looking at could be, commonly defective. Check reviews, go on Newegg. There's hundreds of reviews of people who own that product that are telling you how it is. So follow that. So, when you're building yourself a computer and you're deciding on what parts you want to get, what you want to do is decide what you need it for. So if you want to be a gamer, if you want to build a Bitcoin mining rig, if it's just for internet surfing, what do you guys need this for? That's where we're going to start. So we'll start with the tower. They come in different sizes. They come in different forms, such as ATX, ITX. It all goes by the size pretty much. So if somebody asks you for the form, that only means like ATX, micro ATX. ATX is the big boy. You got mid ATX, micro ATX, ITX, which is real small. But this is a mid ATX. Cases get bigger, smaller, sideways, whatever. But this is a mid ATX, nice size housing. But the one thing you want to look for when it comes to a high-end computer like this, it's got to stay cool. And if you're not somebody who's elite with taking care of your computer, stuff like that, you're probably not going with a water-cooled system. Which is, instead of this fan and all that other stuff, there's water that cools it, which is a lot. So you want to make sure that your computer is cool, because if it overheats, guess what? It's blowing. So on the top here, it's all open. Let me see if I can show it to you guys. We're mounting a fan here, and we're mounting a fan there. Same deal at the bottom. It's open. Same thing with under this power supply. There's a fan that's underneath the power supply, so it's blowing the heat right out of the bottom. Also, all here, it's all open, which is magnificent. The front, well, you guys can't see that. It's a little dark, but along the front here, it's all open, so there's a grill that pushes all the air out the bottom. Sorry, I'm just putting the camera back up, guys. Okay, so you picked out your case. Next thing's motherboard. You want to decide on how much RAM you want to go with. You have different amount of RAM slots. Mostly they come with 4. This one has 6. This is more of like a server board. It has 8 SATA ports. You need to decide on how many hard drives you're going with, how many CD drives, add it up, make sure the board can handle it. So this has 6 right here, and then an additional 2 up here. So this thing can handle 8 hard drives, CD drives, whatever you're doing. Such as if you're building a CD duplicator computer, you're going to need to make sure you have enough SATA ports. So if you're building a computer with 8 CD drives to duplicate DVDs, crap like that, and you got a computer with 6 SATA ports, guess what? You're shit out of luck. So, next, decide on how much RAM you're going to go with. If you're only building an internet browsing computer, you only need around 4 gigabytes. But yet, if you're gaming using multiple monitors, that's when you would go up to 8, 16, whatever. Right now I have 16 in here. Am I going to keep it in here? No, I'm probably going to drop it to 8, depending on what I decide to do with it, in which I, to be honest, have no idea. Most of this stuff was free except for the casing. I just put it together. So, hard drive wise, if you ever heard of the new, well, I locked that in there already, but right here, this is a 120 gigabyte SSD, which stands for solid state hard drive. Solid state is, it doesn't have platters inside that holds your information. It's pretty much like a USB flash drive. It's just one board. That's it. Why did they do it that way? Because guess what? It's about 100 times faster. There's no platters to wait for, nothing like that. And supposedly they last a lot longer because there's no motors and crap like that that can go. There's less that can go wrong with it. They're still relatively new, so they really haven't had the time on the market to fail and stuff like that. So, but so far they've been really good to me. We have about 400 in work. I've never seen one go bad so far. So, 120 gigabyte hard drive. That is what you want to store your operating system on. Next, we're going to put down a few, maybe like 500 to a terabyte in platter drives. That is only because a 500 gig SSD is around $250. A terabyte is just like $400. It's ridiculous. So this is around $60. And then we can get a terabyte hard drive for like $40 max. So that's your hard drives. When it comes to your storage, you don't need an SSD. That's why we're only getting a small SSD hard drive to boot it faster, and that's pretty much it. So, also, everything like storing your games, pictures, movies, that's all fine for the platter. Next, power supply. This is very important. If you guys are running high-end games, multiple monitors, running multiple CD drives with a lot of hard drives, it's going to use a lot of power. So, especially if you have a high-end graphics card. Graphics card is going to be pretty much the most important part of your computer, but we'll go on to that in a second. But with the graphics card you get, you have to make sure your power supply can handle it. So, there's a few different kinds of power supplies. We'll just go over this real quick. Modular. Modular is when you can unplug the wires out of the back and only plug on what you need. Feature, it's great, but guess what? It's a little bit more expensive. But if you're building a computer like this, you don't want like wires tucked inside and wrapped up, trying to hide them. It's worth going the extra mile with that. But if you just get a regular, this is a CX500 by Corsair. Pretty nice. It's a very solid power supply. It's nothing magnificent like a 1200 watt, running dual NVIDIA, whatever. Just your basic solid power supply that if you're not putting a lot of strain on this computer, this thing will never die, pretty much. But yeah, that's that. This is the brand to get when it comes to power supplies. There's a few real good ones, but this is one of them. You don't want to get a cheap power supply because yeah, it looks all nice, solid. Guess what? The internals will be shit, and it's not going to last you. It'll last you maybe a month. Graphics card. This is what you need to run the high-end games. If you're running multiple monitors, you can go online, see what games run what. So they go by gigabytes, and they also go by speed. Like your clocking, you can overclock them, but you have to be careful with that. You can blow them up. So this is an old one. Don't mind numbnuts over here. I'm just using it to build the computer. This is only like a 1 gigabyte. They're up to like 16, but the 16 ones are like $3,000. So depending on your monitors and depending on how new of the games you're playing, that's what you will have to go by when you're buying a graphics card. So if you're playing a 3-year-old game of Call of Duty, you don't need something high-end. But if you're playing the new Grand Theft Autos and Call of Duties and stuff like that, you'll have to get like a $300-400 graphics card. But they're worth every penny. These new ones are very fast. So, processor. There's a few different ones out there. i3, i5, i7. They're all by Intel. And then you also have AMD. They both have pros and cons, depending on what you need. Mostly I run i5s. But this turns out to be an i7. I got it for free, so I can't complain. But there's also different generations. First, they're up to like 6. So if you see i7, don't just go like, "Ooh, that's cheap," and buy it. It could be a 7-year-old Intel i7. So just depending on what you're going to do with it, guys. That's what it's going to come down to. But if you guys want to ask me any questions, ask away. So if you're planning on building a computer, drop me a message. Let me know, and then maybe I can help you out picking out some parts, save a couple bucks, and we'll go from there. Alright, guys.